If you don't know, Ranger Reject is a twisted take on Power Rangers with 5 so-called Dragon Keepers that lead an organization of Rangers that fight invaders, beings who attacked Earth 13 years ago, or at least that's what they did when the invasion started. Till right before the story starts, they have staged Sunday battles so the Rangers can keep the funding and therefore keep existing. The story starts with Foot Soldier D, who voices his complaints about the Sunday battles after all the executives have died years ago, and decides to take matters into his own hands by infiltrating the Rangers, which kinda works, though he's soon found out. You should know at this point that the so-called Foot Soldiers are very straightforward with their thinking, meaning he's kind of dumb. And he rushes into combat when one of the 5 Dragon Keepers is in front of him, which happens, very early on. This is admittedly very frustrating as a reader, but this soon changes. Very soon after he's found out, he meets someone, and that someone gets him to change. Over the course of the story, there are these moments with panels that show Dee's reaction in that moment and nothing else. They show how he's taken aback for a moment and has to think, and each time his view of humans changes bit by bit, till he eventually has to confront it for real, which leads to my favorite moment so far. A sort of daydream showing him with the other main Foot Soldier, Eyes, having a bite at a restaurant. In this, invaders have won, and humans give Foot Soldiers basically celebrity status. This is admittedly very unrealistic and dreamlike, but he still respects humans here. And furthermore, he dines with the colorless Ranger teammates too. There's more to this, but that would go into heavy spoilers. Now, there's another aspect about this work I find very interesting, which is how Dee starts and stays weak, at least till chapter 114 so far. Meaning you don't see him grow stronger in a physical sense, but more adept at using his transformation skills, and more adept in teamwork. But I think what Ranger Reject's greatest quality might be is to give the reader a way to understand the characters, regardless of their morality. It does feel a bit anticlimactic at times, having the story of a character be shown and explained to you right on the spot, but I think it is spread out enough and in itself interesting enough that I didn't mind much. Now, before I recommend this manga, let's first go into the characters. They're the Rangers, other Foot Soldiers, and another category. The most prominent characters are mainly independent Rangers, meaning ones that have not gone through a test to be accepted into one of the 5 garrisons. Each of the independent Rangers has a distinct personality and motivation, anchored in backstories you get to know from time to time. Firstly, let's go into the 2 characters that I've already shown on screen. Suzuki doesn't give away much about herself when Dee encounters her. She does give away that she has a high ranking and a desire to destroy the Rangers. She also immediately figures out that Dee is a Foot Soldier and actually works with him before he's inevitably found out. Now, the first independent Ranger you meet in the story is Sakurama, a friendly newly joined Ranger who seeks out to reform the Rangers instead of destroy them. When he finds out about Dee's cover, he still helps him and even shows a genuine interest in how Foot Soldiers work. He's also the cause of the inciting incident, or in other words, Dee's first encounter with the morality of wanting the Rangers destroyed. Besides the main characters having well-reasoned motivations, this manga manages to have a wide cast of side characters. When it comes to the independent Rangers, there's a veteran sniper with a history with one of the higher-ups, a sword fighter whose brother was killed by an executive and seeks revenge. There's also a mechanic who only wanted to join because of his friend, but gains confidence in himself when Dee confides in him. Besides others, there is also a knockoff All Might who has muscles that are somehow resistant to swords. They all have their own motivation, and a decent amount of them even has their own character arcs. When it comes to Dragon Keepers, the most interesting to me were Blue and Green. Blue seeks revenge against invaders and comes off as a psychopath, but does so because of his past with an executive and a background as a criminal. He was the first keeper introduced after Red, which makes the revelation that he has a heart of gold and cares for orphans, including his direct subordinate in particular, all the more subversive. Even though the friendly giant kind of archetype is fairly common in media, I do find the subversion here done quite well. Then we have Chidori, an information broker who works for the Green Battalion, who helps him out when Dee joins and they confront an executive. He hides his identity because he's the Green Keeper. This surprised Dee, who has to struggle with the fact that he kinda liked the guy. He has a friendly personality, was very helpful in his mission when D joins his battalion, and furthermore very much cares for his battalion, which ends with Chidori letting him go on and stay in his battalion. D does try to kill him multiple times after that, but I think he secretly knew that he probably won't be able to actually kill him. I think it's out of an empty obligation to his rivalry with the Keepers. And Chidori tests D's ambition, that even the evil Dragon Keepers have someone genuinely good and caring in them. Not to speak bad of Blue, but Blue is not really that good of a guy. Now, there's Hisui. She's introduced as a menacing high-ranking ranger, who ends up being D's direct superior. She's not a Dragon Keeper, but only one step removed. She's brash, but cares for a battalion. At some point we learn that she had her early life ruined by invaders, and joined the Rangers at the age of 10, making her quite jaded and hateful. Though when she is defended by D, who subsequently saves her life, she doesn't reveal him, even though she has a hate for them. She realizes, with everything D has done for the good of the mission, that he is different. Now, if you remember me mentioning that spoiler category, this is the part where I go into it, so skip to this timestamp if you want to avoid spoilers. Executives are by far the most straightforward people in the story, except for maybe Red, who is just an asshole with a kink for the Ranger organization. Executives are false gods. They have the principles, stick to them, and eliminate humans who go against their principles, or them. One of them is actually the trigger for massive character growth in D, where he has to decide if he fights with or against his former bosses, now that he's grown attached to multiple humans. One of the executive's lackeys is Eyes, who is revealed to be one of the foot soldiers who left the Sky Fortress before the Sunday battle started. She was saved by Sakurama and holds him dear, but she struggles to find another way to live, so she continues to work for the executive, which makes her eventually have to come to terms with the fact that she shouldn't do that. So, do I recommend Ranger Reject? Well, yes. I enjoyed many of the characters, was invested in D's character development, and was impressed by the art, especially when it comes to the executives and their powers. Just be patient with D, at least till he joins the colorless. But other than that, there's much to enjoy. With that being said, see you another time. Bye!